As far as inspiration for our new short documentary, European Tour 73, well, let me go back 50 years for when my dad, who was really obsessed with taking his five small kids and his wife to Europe, um, ended up actually, before the trip, he ended up buying this Super 8 camera, which is interesting because my dad really is not that artistic of a person or whatever. So I kind of, even as a young kid, I knew back then that there was something significant about that trip to Europe. The fact that he would buy a Super 8 camera and want to memorialize it. So what happened was we went to 6 weeks in Europe, and when we got back, we had all the Super 8 footage, and now 50 years later, it's been passed through all various family members, and now it's all, I ended up with all the footage, and I was looking through it probably in the last decade or so after my dad passed away. I inherited a lot of that footage, and I was looking through it, and I thought, you know, all these years later, I really thought there's something to this footage, and I think it would make an interesting film, just in terms of the idea of just showing, like, through the course of 50 years, you know, maybe showing current audiences what things were like back in the 1970s, and the fact that my parents took their five small kids on such an unlikely, crazy trip, barnstorming around Europe for 6 weeks in a little camper. But now the interesting thing about the film is, and this is reflected within the film, is that the time of 50 years later now, I've been able to look at the footage, and the footage itself now has really revealed itself in a more deeper way, and I've sort of, it's actually revealed to me the very deep, important meaning of why my father actually took his family to Europe for those 6 weeks back in 1973. So that's the inspiration, and the film itself now has that revelation, looking back all these years later, that I think audiences hopefully can relate to and find very interesting.